And welcome back to the Hot Lap. The truth has been revealed, apparently, according to a report, on the real reason Steiner, yes, Gunther Steiner, the one of the stars, or the star of Drive to Survive on Netflix, left the Haas team. And it says here from PlanetF1.com, F1 report lifts the lid on what truly happened to Gunther Steiner and the Haas relationship. I thought this is quite interesting. Now, Dutch F1 reporter Jack, I'm not going to pronounce that last name, but he said Gunther Steiner opened up to him about what was a shares dispute with Gene Haas that triggered his exit from the Haas F1 team, apparently of Steiner's own accord, which is interesting because he kind of made out, well, it was suggested he was let go, wasn't it, initially, from what I think we reported and what I believed. But Steiner served, as we know, as Haas team principal since before they even joined the grid. He helped organise and get the whole thing together and got Gene on board. And they debuted in 2016, Steiner basically laying the foundations and securing what was a crucial technical partnership with both Ferrari and Dallara to ensure that they could go racing. Now, as we know, last year in the 2023 proved to be Steiner's final season and one of their worst, really, if I'm honest, bearing in mind where the expectations were for them going into the season. And Steiner came out the following expiration of his contract, essentially. It expired, and we now have Komatsu has been named as Steiner's replacement. So, Gunther Steiner, he'd become the central figure of Haas, but the team, as we know, is owned by Gene Haas, who made it clear in the aftermath of Steiner's departure that results were not up to standard, and Haas returning to the foot of the Constructors' Championship last was obviously not good enough. Yeah, I get it, I completely understand. But according to reports, Steiner told him that he had requested shares in the team after sourcing a sponsorship deal that was allegedly worth $20 million. Now, this was denied by Gene and Steiner, and it was at this point that Steiner decided he was not going to continue. Gunther and I spoke at the beginning of the week, the journalist said, but we were not allowed to ask how it actually went with Haas and what he was going to do. He began on Ziggo Sports Race Cafe program, but then he sent me a message and allowed me to tell what happened. And he said Gunther found a $20 million sponsor, but he told Gene Haas that he wanted shares in the team to stay and continue the relationship. Haas, however, did not accept, and so Steiner himself ended up leaving the team. Yeah, so, I mean, was that the right decision? It's interesting, isn't it? He's done a lot for the team, didn't he? He wanted the shares. I imagine he wanted to potentially buy the shares in the team. I don't think he was just like, yeah, you're going to give them to me. You're going to give them to me, Gene. Over this 20 million sponsor deal. And you have to wonder, because he's done so much and he seems to be the face of Haas more so than Gene Haas, the owner himself, was that a bit of a mistake to do? I mean, this guy's been, he started off in rallying. He was at Jaguar. I think he was at the Red Bull team. Niki Lauda hired him at Jaguar, funny enough, and I think it was Marco, I'm not sure, but then hired him initially at Red Bull. So he has been around. That they have made good cars as well. They have scored points. It's going to be interesting what their new boss Komatsu does. Having said that, is it almost like a poison chalice at this stage? You have to wonder, because Gene Haas has said, he's pretty much intimated he does not want to invest any more into the Haas team. But that was the initial report when Steiner ended up leaving, and Gene was saying, nope, I don't want to invest any more into the team. I simply want our team to use the resources we currently have, although I personally don't know what those resources are. They're not going to be like a McLaren, Ferrari, Mercedes, Red Bull-esque resources, are they? But are they comparable, for example, to Alpine? Are they comparable to RB? Are they comparable to the Stake F1 team? I don't know, but you'd have to think absolutely minimum yes. We know how old some of the Williams stuff was when James Vowles went there and said, and was speaking to us about it. So yeah, it's the Haas. I mean, a lot of people suggested that Haas may well sell to Andretti. They may well sell. And F1 at the moment, the teams, they're worth so much more money. But say, for example, we get another season of dominance and the viewing figures go down again. From that report last year, that suggested the 23 viewing figures were down. It suggested that mentioned social media were down. Mentioned social media, how F1 was boring and negative connotation was kind of up. And then if F1 loses its value, the teams are going to potentially lose the value. So surely now is the best time, if Gene wanted to sell, but he doesn't. So he wants to be in F1, but he supposedly doesn't want to invest into anything, which is interesting. But don't worry about Gunther, though, because it says here again on planetf1.com, he has secured another job in the F1 paddock as his schedule fills up. And yet Steiner is a person in demand, it says. He's got his new punditry gig with RTL, followed by a deal to head to Australia. The announcement that Steiner would not continue with Haas at the beginning of this year, the team he built the very foundations of, were, I think, a shock to us all. But considering he's built his reputation as one of the most recognisable and popular personalities in the paddock, thanks to Drive to Survive, I think has really, really helped him. And it was recently announced that Steiner had signed with German broadcaster RTL as a pundit, starting from the Bahrain Grand Prix. Further appearances to be intercepted throughout the season. Following the Bahrain Grand Prix, he's also set to head down under with a very important stop on the way to the Australian Grand Prix. As per Speedcast, Steiner will be part of the Australian Broadcast Network 10's coverage of the Australian Grand Prix on March the 22nd to the 24th. But before that, he will stop off at Adelaide Motorsport Festival, taking place from the 15th to the 17th for a Q&A, and apparently a 2,000 in attendance strong Q&A. So I don't think we need to worry about the future of Mr. Steiner. He seems to be doing quite well indeed, doesn't he? If you made it to the end, give us a like and or subscribe. That would be amazing. We're glad Gunther is doing well. If you comment below, if you subscribe, if you do any of those two, you are multiple world champion in our eyes. Thank you very much. Stay tuned for the Bahrain Grand Prix coverage. We've already done our preview show. If you want to have a look at it, we try and predict the podium. We have a look at the track as well. And all sorts. Stay tuned. Thank you very much. Speak to you soon.